So, Mataji, is it okay to start?
Mataji, we will wait for 5 minutes. 7:25, we will start.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. अनुपम खैर दी इंटरव्यू मिल गई है बटन क्या नहीं लग गई इसकी कि कुछ So should we start now?
Mataji. Yeah. Whatever.
Thank you all very much for giving me this opportunity. So let's.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you so much for all your wonderful association. So today we are really fortunate to have Her Grace Lalitangi Radha Mataji with us to enlighten us to the next topic of Nectar of Instruction. So we are in the series of 11 verses in 11 weeks. And today Mataji will do verse number 6, right? 6.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for coming on the call. And dear devotees, I still encourage every one of you, stay tuned, type your answer, chat in your chat box. You can put your questions or you can raise your hands later on. Okay, so thank you so much again, once again. Yes, Lalitangi Mataji, now you can take over. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji, for all your services here and engaging us also in this valuable service by reading. I mean, it is so purifying to prepare for a class. I mean, I can confess that if not preparing for a class, when I read, I just not even get 10% of it. But this is at least something deep is going inside. So it's a great purification. And thank you so much. So we can start with prayers. Om Adhyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami. You're kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva and delivering the Western countries, which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Giri Yatkripatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mishwaram. So Upadeshamrita is a great gift given by Srila Rupa Goswami. In the first introduction, Geetira Mataji covered very beautifully the source of this book and also the story of Rupa Goswami and how he happened to write this. So instructions are basically not very welcome, but the way Rupa Goswami says this is really nectarian, because the purpose of this is to get to the nectar of devotion. If the nectar of instruction is not crossed over, then we cannot relish the nectar of devotion. So let's do the revision of previous verses. The verse 1 spoke about 6 types of. Anyone wants to unmute and answer?
Urges, Mataji?
Yeah, urges. Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So verse 2 about the 6 types of urges: Vacho Vegam, Manasaha Krodha Vegam, the urge of to speech, of the mind, and the anger, and also the urge of the tongue, belly, and genitals. So whoever is conquering this is eligible to make disciples all over the world. So he starts off with this, how important it is to control these urges, and how if we fail to do so, we can't go to the next level. So the next is the 6 types of the verse 2. Anyone remembers?
Vices?
Yeah, 6 vices that again brings us down or distracts us from the path of bhakti. Starts with over endeavoring, over eating or collecting and following the rules and regulations only for the sake of following, or being too much attached to that and being greedy for mundane achievements and like that. So these are all exactly opposite to what the mundane education trains us to do so. So this is a real education for the soul. And yeah, verse 3 speaks about the 6
Mataji, 6 principles favorable to devotional service.
Oh, thank you, Mataji. Yeah, 6 principles favorable to devotional service that we see in the surrender, the 6 types, 6 limbs of surrender. First is to accept favorable things, and the second is to reject unfavorable things. So he's saying that enthusiasm, patience, and endeavoring with confidence. And so like this, there are 6 virtues that are favorable and that needs to be cultivated. And the 4th one speaks about after what happens between the devotees.
Exchanges, loving exchange.
Yeah, the 6 loving exchanges that will enhance this path of bhakti, because at least in Jnana Yoga and our Ashtanga Yoga, one can be on one's own or alone, and then I know that's how they make progression on their path. But Bhakti Yoga, from the beginning up to reaching the goal, and even after reaching the goal, we always need the association of devotees. And so there are 6 ways how devotees can enrich their relationships. So Srila Prabhupada gave beautiful purpose, and we had wonderful lectures by all the speakers. They put in there so much effort and realizations on this. Yeah, and then verse 5, I'm sorry, it is not 6, but something that it covered.
Verse 6 or verse 5, Mataji?
Verse 5.
The 3 kinds of devotees.
Yeah. So the 3 kinds of devotees. Thank you. So verse 4, he says that how to deal with devotees, the 6 dealings that will enhance the relationship. And then he speaks about the 3 levels of devotees and how to deal with each of them. So that's what we saw beautifully last week. And so many examples and explanation of how the entry level devotee is Kanishta Adhikari, and how he worships the deity and has faith in the deity, but not so much advanced in knowledge or expert in relationship with the devotees. And then when he progresses to Madhyama Adhikari, then he can engage in friendship with devotees and loves the Supreme Personality of Godhead, merciful to the ignorant and avoids the envious. And when he advances to Uttama Adhikari, then there's no question of falling down because he's expert in Shastras. So we can see that this whole ladder of advancement depends on being well versed with Shastras, or getting fixed up in Shastric knowledge. So thanks to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who not only gave the Pancharatrik Vidya of Bhakti Yoga, but also gave us so much books that it's very hard to finish reading them, even one's lifetime, and then what to speak of grasping them, and then what to speak of applying them. So he, in just 10 short years, he gave 10,000 years for people to work on, have something to meditate on. So we can see how the Shastric knowledge and the depth. And it comes here and it increases more in the next stage. So let's see verse 6 now. Here, also in the verse 5, he has the last class, one quality. Rupa Goswami defines the last class with Nindadi Shunya Hridayam. So one whose heart doesn't like to criticize others. So here, verse 6 is what leads one to criticize, and what are the possible avenues or opportunities for criticizing the devotee. So that is mentioned here. So let's do the verse. I don't know if Sukha Mataji is free enough. Do you want to? And if you're okay and ready, you want to sing this verse, Mataji?
Sure, Mataji, for your pleasure and all devotees' pleasure. दृष्टै स्वभावजनितैः वपुषश्च दोषै न प्राकृतत्वमिह भक्तजनस्य पश्येत् गङ्गाम्भसां न खलु बुद्बुधपेण पङ्कैः ब्रह्मद्रवत्वमपगच्छति नीरधर्मैः ब्रह्मद्रवत्वमपगच्छति नीरधर्मैः.
Thank you, Mataji. That was so beautiful. I like the flow of Ganga. Very nice. I mean, the beauty of the ragas and the music is that it brings out the mood and the emotion of the verse. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Drishtaihi.
Can I read the English part of it?
Yes, please, Mataji, go ahead.
Okay. It says, being situated in his original Krishna consciousness position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or an infirm body. According to the ordinary vision, such imperfectionist may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of Gangas, which sometimes during the raining season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganga's waters do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Gangas without considering the condition of the water. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So beautiful reading. Yeah, so here he's saying Drishtaihi, because of the materialistic viewpoint, Swabhava Janitaihi, arising from the Swabhava of the Lord, Vapushash of the devotee, Vapushascha Doshai, of the body, the faults of the body, Na Pashyet, one doesn't see. Is that what? As material, because they don't see that as a material of a pure devotee, material thing of a pure, from a materialistic viewpoint, such defects is not seen, even though it is present prominently in the body of a pure devotee. Why? A person doesn't see, because like a person who's well versed in the scriptures, they know how purifying Ganga water is. So even though it is filled with bubbles and foam and mud. And now, especially if you Google pollution in Ganga or cleaning in Ganga, so many plastic bottles and so many other stuff. I mean, I saw a video. It is so scary to see how much pollution is there. But still, a person knows that it is Brahma Dravatvam because it is of a spiritual value. The very fact that even when dead bodies are floating in Mother Ganga, she is not polluted because of the spiritual nature of the water, because the water, she herself originated from the causal ocean and also washed the toes of Vamana Dev, and then how she is spreading all over Jambudvipa. We saw in Pavaneshwar Prabhu's presentation that all the Varshas Ganga flows through. So there is no question of Ganga being polluted. And this was common sense knowledge of even 500 years ago. So he's giving that example, that understanding the transcendental nature of the water of Ganga. So they go to take bath there because they know that Ganga is not polluted by the dirtiness that is visible to our eyes. So similarly, a pure devotee is not polluted by the imperfections that we can see through our eyes. So what are the possible, and why Srila Prabhupada starts with this purport about Shuddha Bhakti, or what is so special about a devotee's consciousness? And why such faults of the body of the devotee, even if it's prominent, if it is looked upon, is an offense? Because the engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Ma'am, Shayu?
And the force that are monas at the force.
Can you come back? What are you doing?
Can I read the shloka?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mam chayoga bicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samati ityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate.
Thank you, Prahlad. So here he says, Mam chayo avyabhicharena, without any deviation, always engaging bhakti yogena sevate. If a person engages in full devotional service, that's the reason of, that's the meaning of avyabhicharena. I mean, not falling down in any circumstances and 100% engaging in devotional service, then such a person at once transcends the modes of material nature. Sa gunan samatityaitan, and then comes to the level of Brahman. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So, a devotee who is a pure devotee and engaged in such a way, because he is in connection with the Supreme Lord, who is completely spiritual and pure, and his consciousness is pure, so the bodily defects does not come on him. So it may be considered like spots on the moon that beautify the moon. Or I heard recently Mahatma Prabhu say this in a seminar, that there is a white cloth and then there is a black dot in that. So compared to the space of the white cloth, the black dot is small and it is negligible. The point is not the presence of the black dot, but the point is that we are seeing the black dot. So because of our vision, we are not able to see the white surface that is present all around. So since a devotee is beyond the transcending the modes of material nature, so the bodily or the gross body or the faults of the subtle body does not touch him. And Rupa Goswami also describes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu the definition of pure devotion, that Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. Anya Abhilashita means any other Abhilasha or desires is Shunyam. It's not there. Zero. Jnana Karmadi Anavrutam. Freed from the desire for fruitive activities or mental speculation. Anukulyena Krishnanu Sheelanam. Anukulyena, doing favorable devotional service, that is Bhaktir Uttama. It is the Uttama Bhakti or pure devotion. So, such a pure devotee is always in connection with the Lord, and that is why he is not bothered, or his consciousness is not bothered by seeming defects that we can see. So in this case, like, I like to be down to earth with myself. When I walk in the street and I see someone that's coming by, and immediately what I see is who it is based on the color of the body. You see American or Canadian or Asian or a Chinese or African American or from Middle East or something, right? So that is how the vision goes, to see who's that based on the body. And so because of this materialistic vision, but when a pure devotee like Prabhupada sees someone, he doesn't see the body. I mean, many places, many disciples, they say that how Prabhupada's vision is penetrating, and he can see through what up and to the point of the soul. But so the point is, because it requires a devotee to see a devotee, and since the person who is seeing is not completely a devotee, so there is possibility of such offensive vision or mindset. So what are the possible things that although the verse explains in one or two words, Srila Prabhupada has given the purport very nicely, that whatever possible things that we could mess up with. So he is warning us about the 6 offensive materialistic mindset and behavior which we have to say no to. So the first one Srila Prabhupada talks about is that criticism of bodily defects of Vaishnavas. So the body may be any complexion, or maybe specially abled. So it's a great offense to criticize them. Normally, we may tend to think that, okay, there is some karma involved in this, and that's why this person is like this. And of course, on top of that, we should help them. But if we see at all from the karma perspective, and try to apply this to any ordinary soul, also any living being, also that shouldn't be done. But to Vaishnavas, when criticism takes place on the bodily defects, it becomes a source of a serious and dangerous offense. Because they are not this body. In this respect, I would like to tell the story of the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Gita Mahatmya. There is a eagle and a parrot. The eagle has eyed the parrot, and the eagle is going to get the parrot, swooping down to get the parrot. And at that time, there is a hunter who is aiming at the parrot. But what happened was, when the arrow struck, the eagle had eaten the parrot, and the arrow struck the eagle. And both of them fell down. But where they fell down was in a graveyard, and they fell down immersed in the water, of a skull of someone, a human skull, of course. There is water in that, and both the birds, while dying, they came in contact with that water, which was in the skull of that human being. Immediately, they were liberated from all sinful activities. In the previous life, basically, the wife was very sinful. The husband also was very sinful. The wife killed the husband. So in this life, the wife has to be killed by the husband. So the wife became a parrot and the husband became an eagle. So the husband is scooping down on the parrot. And at that time, this happened. And how come, their previous lives are also full of sinful activities. And now also they had, birdly birds. And so they must not have done anything. How come they are freed of all sinful activities? And whether they go to the celestial planets or go to Vaikuntha Loka, I am not clear at this point of time, but there is something that's happening there. So what was told was, that was the skull of the person who had throughout his life had chanted the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So we can imagine, even that's the reason that, the body where the soul inside has performed devotional service is also worshipable, and we don't burn that body of great devotees, acharyas. And we can imagine, if that can give this much to even the birds, to relieve them from the sinful activities, and what is the effect of such a body? So it's actually worshipable. So the next one is criticism or neglect of on the basis of birth. So this was going on very common, that when the devotees from America, they came, and then some of the pujaris, they would say that, I bless you, that next life you take a birth in India, and then take a birth in a high class family, and then you can serve the Lord. And when they came and told this to Srila Prabhupada, he said that that is not right, because whether a person is born wherever they are born, because they are rendering devotional service, they should not be discriminated on the basis of their birth. Neither should those devotees get puffed up thinking that they're Goswamis, nor the devotees who are born in the traditional Goswami families look down upon them. Because the power of bhakti is so much that birth doesn't matter. And Srila Krishna also says that Striyo Vaishyas Tata Shudras Tepiyanti Param Gatim. Even those of low birth, they can come to me if they do bhakti. So, yeah, and Srila Prabhupada very nicely, lived this, that he used to call the devotees Prabhus. He used to address them, the devotees, as Prabhus, whom he had seen as hippies, and they've become devotees, and now they're rendering valuable service. He used to address them as Prabhus. And Shivananda Prabhu told this pastime. I think it is there in Leelamrita, but I'm not sure. But he explained that once in Germany, when Srila Prabhupada had come, there Srila Prabhupada asked him, can you pray for me? I forget for what. But then Shivananda Prabhu is telling that, Srila Prabhupada, I can pray for you, but what will be the effect of my prayer? Who am I? And he says, you are a devotee. Why not? Krishna will listen to you. So this was a personal conversation between Srila Prabhupada and Shivananda Prabhu. And the next possible criticism that we have to say no to is the criticism of apparent misbehavior. And this is very tough because of so much of anarthas that we have. Like when we see, only we see with glasses. If we already have a green contact lens that is green, then whatever we see that through that will be green. So when we see through our anarthas and the heart full of pride and false ego, And so it's possible to even see the good behavior as misbehavior, but even the apparent misbehavior should not be criticized. Why? Because Krishna says, Apichet suduracharu. Not only durachara, suduracharo, the most abominable. Apichet suduracharo bhajatema ananya bhak. If a person is engaging in the devotional service, in my devotional service, even if he performed the most abominable action, sadhur evasa mantavyaha. He says, one must consider him as a sadhu. Samyak vyavastito hi saha, because very soon he will be, because he is situated properly. And Prabhupada compares that even on royal roads, there is accidents possible. And because of the conditional and constitutional duties of the devotees, sometimes they clash. And also because of the force of the previous habits, either in this life or in the previous life, they may be forced to do very abominable action. But Krishna is warning us that, sadhur evasa mantavyaha. In all the other places, we can see that how he's gentlemanly. He's saying, Arjuna, if you ask for me, this is my opinion, that he is the best of yogi who is thinking about me. In my opinion, yajna, dana, and tapa should not be given up. Like that, and then you do whatever you do. I mean, he is like, this is my opinion, if you ask, and then you do. But here he says, he doesn't say this is my opinion, that you have to, he's a sadhu. He says very firmly that, sadhur evasa mantavyaha. He has to be considered saintly because shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati. Because the power of devotional service and the power of the purity of the Lord, because he himself is pavitram. So a person who is in touch with the Lord in Bhakti Yoga will turn 180 degrees, right? We saw Valmiki, who was a hunter, and he turned like that. And we also saw how Mrigari, who cannot help fully kill the animals. I mean, it's like, someone who's addicted to drinking tea or coffee, how nicely they'll relish that hot tea, slowly drinking. Like that way, it was his pleasure to see the half-killed animals suffering to die. And then Narada Muni's association completely changed him, that even before he offered obeisances, he's shooing away the ants. So the power is that Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma. Very soon he'll become Dharmatma. Shashvat Shantim Nigacchati. He will be peaceful. And then Krishna's heart comes out in full force. Like if there is someone, and then, we have something so if we want to tell it clearly, I mean, there is no second opinion in it, and our heart comes out fully, then we will ask our friend, yeah, you better tell him that that's what I'm going to do. I mean, it is 100% sure. So he says, Kaunteya pratijanihi, pratigya karo. I mean, boldly declare what? My devotee never perishes. I mean, that also he's saying in the passive way, or in other sense, the passive voice. In other sense, he will not let his devotee perish. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. So that's why, we need to say no to the criticism of apparent misbehavior, which is accidental. If that person is situated in Bhakti Yoga. Okay, so the next possible vision is the materialistic vision. That is also, like as I said, that we are used to this materialistic vision. We are used to finding faults. That's how we have grown up. And that's how our materialistic mind has been for millions of lifetimes. Now, our whole materialistic vision should change. And the development of Krishna consciousness is based on the spiritual development of a person. So that has to be seen against the materialistic vision. So if we see the internal features and devotional service, that this person is dear to Krishna. How many people are devotees in a city? If I take Toronto, how much population of Toronto? And in that, how many people are devotees. It is not even, a significant percentage of the people are devotees. So that means every devotee is chosen and very dear to the Lord. There is something special in them then that they have come and they're engaged in the service of the Lord. And so that has to be seen, and not our materialistic vision should be superimposed. And the last one is, mistreatment of an empowered devotee. This happens because of jealousy. And Srila Prabhupada says this, that an empowered person is the one who can preach so widely. And such a person should not be envied upon and brought to the ordinary level. So the earlier disciples of Prabhupada, there was always something they told that, your guru did not teach you this. So Solina Jaipatak Maharaj used to say that the moment we hear that, we know that we should offer obeisances and get out of that place, because it was so common for the early devotees to hear that your guru has not told this, that he has not spoken on this, or so many things. So yeah, an empowered devotee is, for a reason he is empowered, and then being jealous of him, he should not be mistreated, or he should not be advised or corrected or disciplined. So yeah, many told that you should have done this, or you should not have given Gayatri to women. That's a revolutionary thing. We can see that Srila Prabhupada said that the woman always has to be protected, as though he's like, it looks like as though he's saying is against the woman's liberation. But who in the history has given women Brahman Diksha and allowed the woman to do the pujari service? This is completely revolutionary. So we can see that how spiritually, Srila Prabhupada looked at everyone as a devotee and nothing else. And although so many people said that you should not have done this, you should not have done this, but Srila Prabhupada is constantly in touch with his spiritual master, and he says that everything that he wrote is personally dictated by Krishna. That's why you can try this. If you have to write an essay, for example, for Bhakti Shastri or Bhakti Vaibhav on a purport or a chapter summary of Srila Prabhupada, it's impossible. We shouldn't copy, but at the same time, we should give a summary. What words he has chosen, how he has constructed the sentence, what he has done, it's almost like impossible to redo it in our own way and bring the same effect. So that proves that is also Brahma Dravatvam, means it is spiritual in nature. So yeah, so basically, why are these happenings? That what we learned about the different possible criticisms that our vision can bring about. And what is the problem with that is that, so there are different kinds of vision that our mind, and as I said, this polluted machinery that we have, gross body and subtle body. And so what does it project as a vision? Because many times it is what we see is, more percentage than what is really there. So can you tell me which line is longer in this?
Same.
It looks like
The
A,
upper
right?
one. The upper one.
Yeah, it looks like that. But if you see that both are of the same size. So because of the situation of the arrow, we feel that one is longer and one is shorter. This is just a small thing to show our vision. Can you see the white arrows? Do the white arrows? Yeah, but do they exist?
No.
Right. So we are seeing something that doesn't exist. And picture 3, what are you seeing in the picture?
A young lady and an old lady.
Yeah. So, are you all seeing a young lady and a old lady?
No, we're just seeing one old lady.
Yeah, I see young and old.
Young and old, right? Young lady is actually, this is the face and she's looking at the other side. You see, this is the face. And for the old lady, this is just the nose of the old lady and this is the chin. So, yeah. So young and old, it's completely opposite to what we are seeing. Same way here. You know, some can see that she's young and some sees that she's old. Is this person happy or sad?
He's both, because you can see he's happy on one side and sad on another side.
Right. So this is a vision, you know, our imperfect senses, you know, the 4 defects that very much comes into place when we see these optical illusions. So yeah, the problem is that, you know, the first thing is that if we have a separatist vision, what is a separatist vision is that if when we see that our interest is separate from that of the Supreme Lord because of the mode of passion. So there's so many examples for this, but yeah, so when the mission of the Lord is put as first priority, then even if there is something that doesn't satisfy us, a person doesn't consider that something worthy to think about at all. But on the other side, if we put our agenda first, then the mission of the Lord, or for example, we have to cooperate to do a service. So we may not get along with that person, or we may be constantly getting hurt, or you know, so many things can happen. But if we put the mission of the Lord in the center, then whatever happens between the 2 people cooperating is not given, can be overcome. But if a separatist vision, it's not possible to overcome. So Srila Prabhupada gives this example that, you know, the 2 disciples massaging one is massaging the right leg, one is massaging the left leg, and they both get into some argument, and then, you know, they hit the leg. The person who does the right leg hits the left leg, and the person who does the left leg hits the right leg, and finally they are hitting their own spiritual master's mission. So these are all the obstacles that you know, we have to overcome eventually to show the love, to show our love to Srila Prabhupada. And the next one is like judgmental vision. Srila Prabhupada says that if we are exemplary, then we can judge others or criticize others. But if we know that we are not exemplary, honestly, truthfully, then it's better not to judge others, because what we judge, like, it will be tainted by the green color of envy. So that is the roadblock. And then that's what it requires a devotee to see a devotee. So there is something called external vision or external activities, and the internal mood with which the activity was done. So many examples of this in the Lilamrita. One that recently I heard was when during the building of a Juhu temple, we all know it was like a big struggle. And during the course of that, that person, Mr. N, who was causing the trouble, in just 42 years, he died of a heart attack. So when this news was given to...
His name was Mr. Nair.
Yeah, but they say Mr. N in the Lilamrita, maybe for privacy purposes. So, so when this news was conveyed to him, Srila Prabhupada was very happy. He said that, Krishna removed him personally. It's good. So his secretary was a little bewildered by this, that, how come Prabhupada, you're doing this? It doesn't look like an action of a pure devotee, right? But then Srila Prabhupada said that, even my Guru Maharaj said that if an envious snake or a scorpion is killed, devotees saintly persons are happy about it. Why? Not because he had any personal, problem with Mr. N, but because he was in the way of Krishna enjoying the land that Srila Prabhupada promised that he would make a big temple for the Lord. Because he was in that, that's, Srila Prabhupada told this. So it's very easy to misunderstand if you don't look into the internal mood. The same Srila Prabhupada, after Mr. N, Mrs. N continued the fight, and so many things happened after Mrs. N came, and finally she realized that her fault, and she came and she begged pardon, and she fell at the feet of Prabhupada and crying, and Srila Prabhupada put his her hand on her head and said that you're like my daughter. Don't worry, and I will see to your maintenance till the end of your life. So, yeah, this is a real mood, right? And in fact, Srila Prabhupada also became emotional when she said that. So that is the internal mood of a devotee, and externally he may act something which we may not fail to catch if we don't know the internal mood. So the fourth is the divisive vision, that when we try to enjoy independently. So because of this thing of being a big fish in a small pond, or after some time we feel that we can do some services on our own or something like that, then that's why he says that either individually or collectively we go on dividing. So even this vision is dangerous, because individually we can't do anything. This movement is called Sankirtan movement. Sankirtan, getting together to do congregational chanting. In congregational chanting, it's not possible for one person to sing the lead and then repeat, and he has to do the mridanga and the kartal on his own and the harmonium. It's not possible. So the movement itself is meant for so many people to come together, and one does the singing, one repeats, and then one does mridanga, another kartal, another harmonium. Then it's a nice combination of offering to Krishna. So we need to guard against this divisive vision. And finally, what one must have is a transcendental vision. The purpose of Guru, the purpose of the founder Acharya, and the purpose of Krishna, if that is kept at the center point, then we can cross over the test that is put by Maya. So that's what Krishna says, Yomam pashyati sarvatra, sarvam cha mai pashyati. One who sees Krishna within everything and everything within Krishna, then he can cross over all these transcendental vision. And the purity of Ganga, like how, you can see that when especially in the ghats, they would, sometimes they would bring the dying people to the ghat. And immediately after they die, they would immediately cremate and half the thing done, because there is another next body in the line to be ready for the ghat to be cremated. So half cremated, it is thrown in Ganga. And sometimes when a person takes a dip and gets up, he comes in touch with that body. And we know that for a reason the graveyards are away from the city, because it is very, very decomposing and contaminating. But the quality of Ganga water, if no other river can be there where human bodies can float, and that can be the source of drinking water for the entire city also. because they found out that just 1 feet below where the corpse is floating, they don't find any contamination. The water is completely pure. And the scientists say that the water molecules have such, the structure that it cannot be penetrated by the contaminating atoms or anything from anywhere, pollution. So that is, we know that that's because this is spiritual. Just like the spirit soul cannot be cut by weapons or burnt by fire or moistened by water, the water from the spiritual world is also not contaminated by any of the seeming dirtiness. So that is why he says that we should glorify a pure devotee and not see the defects in him, because seeing such defects, as Krishna says, sadhur evasa mantavyaha, and if we don't do that, we are rejecting the order of Krishna, and because of rejecting the order of Krishna, we could go down to hellish planets. So then we can argue. We say that Neha Bikramanashosti Pratyavayo na vidyate. Whatever we have done devotional service, it will come in the next life. We will continue from where we left. How come we can go to the hellish planets? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu answers that this is the only problem with bhakti. It is simple, it is sublime, it is easy, but whatever progress one has made can be completely uprooted by such defects of a Vaishnava. So that's called mad elephant offense. I mean, the car itself is a toy for this mad elephant. We can imagine when it comes into a garden, what can a creeper do in front of a mad elephant? And so that's why that's the only pitfall here, that everything again comes back to zero. It's like in that snake and ladder thing. I mean, when I play with my son, always we are so close to 100, we are in 98, and there used to be a big snake. It comes down again to 2. So yeah, so this is the mad elephant offense. I mean, it's uncontrollable, and one leads to the other. And so one has to be very careful about this. And because of this mad elephant offense, we can see that this materialistic vision led Ramachandra Puri, who was actually the brother of the spiritual master, a spiritual brother of the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu respected him as his spiritual master. And when his guru Madhavendra Puri was giving up his body and he was crying in the separation of the Lord, so Ramachandra Puri couldn't understand the mood of the guru and spoke to him about that you are Brahman and why are you crying like this? So Madhavendra Puri had to send him out. So because of this offense of yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya aprasadat, when the spiritual master is not pleased, na gati kutopi, there is no gati anywhere. So because of that, he developed the tendency to find faults. So what are the sannyasis doing? What is their daily activities? What are they eating? So we saw that once Jagadananda Pandit had invited Mahaprabhu, Ramachandra Puri and Paramananda Puri, I think. So 3 devotees for giving lunch to them, and after serving, Ramachandra Puri said that you also must sit and eat and I will serve you. So to his pleasure, he was sitting and he had prasadam, and finally, he criticized him, telling that now I know, the associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are eating so much. And also seeing just the ants moving around. In India, ants are everywhere, and that's why it's Punya Bhumi, because ants, they say that even if one ant is happy, it gets to eat something. They put rangoli with rice flour in the house, and this I personally experienced that when we lived there was so much of ants, and once I started putting every day that with the rice flour outside, all the ants went to the rice flour and none came inside the house. And it is said that those ants who eat, this how much an ant can eat, very less, but then they bless the people in the house who has fed them, that it's said that they utter blessings for the people in the house. So we don't have nowadays the opportunity for that. So ants are about everywhere. But then because of the ants, he said that Mahaprabhu was taking more sweets, and Mahaprabhu reduced his eating to 1/4. And then, after he left, then he increased to half of it. So this is very unfortunate situation, that one offense leads to the other, leads to the other, leads to the other. And finally, we fall down from the spiritual position because of this materialistic vision. And we can see in this example how everybody in Sri Rangam, they couldn't understand how this person who is not able to read Bhagavad Gita read and constantly cry. I mean, it looked like he's crying because he's not able to read Bhagavad Gita, so he was laughed at and criticized at. But when Mahaprabhu asked him that what is the reason for his ecstasy, because a person who is in ecstasy, he can find out the other person who is in ecstasy. But a person who is not, then a person who is crying materially, he will think that, he is also crying only materially. So Mahaprabhu's question was to him, what makes you so ecstatic? And which portion of the Bhagavad Gita gives you so much transcendental pleasure? Then the Brahmana replied that, I am not able to read much at all. I am just seeing this beautiful form of the Lord with the bluish hair, bluish complexion and black hair and merciful eyes. And he's in the chariot, and how lovingly he's instructing Arjuna, and he's becoming a charioteer. I'm just looking at it and I'm not able to take away my eyes in this, and I'm so much moved by this, and it gives me ecstatic happiness. So Mahaprabhu embraced him and said that whatever is the real purport of the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, the others may be chanting shlokas very well with no wrong in the pronunciation, but what is the purport? That this person got it. Although seemingly it looked like, he was criticized for his, misbehavior or having the book and crying on it. So this was looked at from that point of view, but we saw that how he was actually in full knowledge. Then another example is this, that how this Vasudev leper, he had so much foul smell coming away from the source of his body that hardly anyone can come near him. And knowing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming to Kurma Brahmana's house, he went there, but he was delayed because he couldn't walk. So he had to literally pull himself and crawl and come. And by the time he is gone, so when he was feeling so miserable that he had missed the darshan of Mahaprabhu, immediately Mahaprabhu appeared there on the spot, and not only that, embraced him. So as and when Mahaprabhu embraced, his distress and the leprosy was gone. So Mahaprabhu is seeing the beauty of the soul, and he was more worried that, now you have cured me completely of the leprosy, and I would become proud of that. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that please chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra incessantly, and that will save you from being proud. So we can see that how the bodily defects is not seen really, but the true devotion from the heart is appreciated. So again, this is a defect from being born in the low caste. So after the Rajasriya sacrifice, Yudhishthira was giving so much charity to the guests and to the Brahmanas, to everyone. So if they're all satisfied, then Yudhishthira asked a question to Krishna that how do I know that they are satisfied? So Krishna answered that if my conch will automatically blow if they are satisfied. But then after doing everything also, his conch didn't blow. So Yudhishthira came and asked that what is the mistake that I made? Then Lord said that there is a swapacha, or a person who is an untouchable person, and he's living outside the city and he was not treated properly. So Yudhishthira sent Bhima and Arjuna to bring him. As he was brought, Yudhishthira washed his feet and honored him with all reception. And Draupadi personally cooked prasadam, and Yudhishthira served him. So while eating, so what this person did was he mixed everything, rice with payasam, with chutney, and with pickle, and everything in one ball. He mixed everything and then he ate. So seeing that, Draupadi was thinking, oh, he is really an outcast. And then after he went also, the conch didn't blow. Then Krishna said that because someone has committed an offense. Then Draupadi admitted that this is what I thought. Then Krishna asked Yudhishthira to ask him, why did he mix everything? And his consciousness was that I should not take the remnants of some like and dislike. That I like this and I don't like this. Because there's always something that we like and something we don't like. He was in that consciousness that he should not take the prasadam with like and dislike, so he mixed everything. So from outwardly, it looked like as though he was uncultured, and so he mixed everything to eat. And especially for a person who has cooked, delectable dishes like Draupadi, and then seeing a person to mix everything and eat, it's natural. But what was going on in the mind, we didn't know. They didn't know. We will never know unless, the Paramatma inside, and who's living outside as Krishna and inside as Paramatma in everyone's heart. So he knew what was going on in his mind. And so that's what, he may be an outcast or untouchable by birth, and seemingly his activities may be like that. But his consciousness was very high, in a high level. So this is again another example of an apparent misbehavior that Brahma, while mentioning this only in Bhagavatam, I think Maitreya, whoever is telling this, they are saying that I'm thinking whether to mention this or not. Or with great reluctance, I'm mentioning this history only for us, for a lesson for us. So what is that? That when Brahma, after his creation, he became bewildered with his own daughter. Of course, everything is a creation of the Lord. And the 6 sons of Marichi laughed at Brahma for this. So because of that, they had to be born in the family of Hiranyakashipu as Prahalad's other brothers, and they died by Indra's thunderbolt. And it didn't stop there. Again, in the next birth, they were born to Devaki. And they had to be instantly killed after being born. So, but then, when Devaki asked Krishna to bring the 6 sons back, because she heard that Krishna bought Sandipani Muni's son back as a Guru Dakshina, she also wanted to very humbly, she's asking the Lord that if she can see those sons back, because she had to see them die as soon as they were born. Then Krishna goes to, I think, Sutala planet and bring them. And then he is telling their history is mentioned, and Devaki personally breastfed them. And because of drinking that milk, which was drunk by Lord Krishna, they got transcendentally blissful knowledge, and they became the devotees of the Lord. And at that time, the Lord told them that, do not ridicule exalted personalities like Brahma. Just because of your laughter, you had to go under so much struggle. So this is, very scary, but a true history, a reminder of that we don't know what is behind anybody's apparent misbehavior, and so we need to be careful. So here, Sanatana Goswami is walking across the forest path, not having eaten for so many days, and the body is full of sores, and then he was practically converted into Mohammedans, being serving the king, all these things. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, go look out and bring that devotee who's is anyone there waiting outside, then that person went back and told him that I don't see anyone except for a Muslim fakir, like, he's just covered by a shawl. And so immediately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came up and embraced him like that. And he said that the body of a devotee is never material, because you have surrendered yourself at the time of initiation. Krishna is accepting yourself as good as himself. So here again, when the Lord embraced, and Sanatana Goswami is feeling so embarrassed that the Lord cannot touch him, that how he's lowborn and his body is full of sores and everything disappears. So we can see that how the Lord sees through the sweetness and teaches us a lesson. And the final lesson is from the author himself. So this is quoted in Bhakti Ratnakara, the 5th wave, and Rupa Goswami was, it is mentioned that, they live in both places. They, even in here, they are Jivan Mukta. So he was in the past time where the Sakis were dressing Srimati Radharani nicely, and Krishna has come. And the Sakis know that Krishna has come, but Krishna wanted to give a surprise to Radharani. And after they are dressing her nicely and showing her face, when she is seeing her face, she's seeing Krishna who's standing behind, and she was so much taken aback by surprise, and she closed her face in shyness, and then everyone laughed at that. So Rupa Goswami being in that pastime, he also laughed. So when he laughed at that time, this devotee Krishna Das, who was lame, he came to see Rupa Goswami, and Rupa Goswami was laughing, so he thought that he's laughing at him. So he goes to Sanatana Goswami and asks that, I didn't even ask him, but why is he laughing at me like this? Then Sanatana Goswami said what happened really and how he was engaged in pastimes like that. And then this devotee felt very bad that he has committed a grievous offense. And so he came to Rupa Goswami to ask forgiveness. But meanwhile, when that Krishna Das felt offended, Rupa Goswami's that engagement in the spiritual vision suddenly vanished. So Rupa Goswami realized that some Vaishnava must have come here while I was in trance and I had offended him. And so he went and asked Sanatana Goswami. Then both are asking forgiveness to each other and embracing. And, we may question this. Why this Leela? I mean, there is no other materialistic vision or any 6 types of criticism or anything like that. One thing is, Vaishnava Aparadha is so dangerous that even if Uttama Adhikari offends a Kanishta Adhikari, he comes down from the platforms. And so Narahari Chakravarti Thakur says that the Lord used his elevated devotees such as Rupa Goswami to teach us of the dangers of Vaishnava Aparadha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Priya Bhakta Dware Anyera dilena siksha eta prakare. So, in order to give us this siksha, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used his pure devotee. So this is in summary that Srila Prabhupada's beautiful purport said that how we should say no to the 6 types of possible criticisms. Criticism from the bodily of bodily defects. The example is that Vasudeva leper, although his body had so much defects, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him. And then criticism to lower birth, whether a person is born in a Goswami family or an American family. Once he is devotee, he's pure, just as Ganga is never impure. And we can see this happening in the case of the untouchable, that Valmika, how exalted consciousness he was having, irrespective of the birth he had. And then the misbehavior, we see how, the Marichi's 6 sons who laughed at Brahma's apparent misbehavior had to get 2 births of, it would have continued, but because of Krishna's blessings and the prasad milk, they were saved. And we also saw that how the materialistic vision of Ramachandra Puri, this vision, if not corrected, it will lead from one offense to another offense to more offenses. So the mistreatment of an empowered devotee is because of jealousy. They are not ordinary. And we can see that the others, although they criticize Sri Ranga Brahmana, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could see that how ecstatic he was. And also the devotee should not be advised or given correction to. So this happened, Srila Prabhupada says that, even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, many people told that he was revolutionary. He shouldn't make, if we know the history of India, we can see that how strong that the boundaries of the caste system was, and it required a bold guru like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to give the Brahmin thread to anyone born in any family if he's engaged in the service of the Lord. And also Srila Prabhupada was very revolutionary, and attempting to discipline or correct them is a huge offense. So I pray to all the devotees. And this is a disclaimer that I'm telling. I'm not at all qualified to talk on this, but this is a great, great lesson. And I hope that I will be able to cross over this and reach pure devotion and not fall prey to the mad elephant offense and come back to ground zero again. Thank you all so much for engaging in this service. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Mataji, can I ask you a question about the parrot and eagle story? That
Yeah.
it came Bhagavatam Canto 5 or something, or Bhagavad Gita?
No, it's a Gita Mahatmya, the stories of each chapter of Bhagavad Gita that was told by actually Vishnu to Lakshmi and then repeated by Lord Shiva to Parvati.
But where is the quote? Like, which chapter is it and which Bhagavad Gita where?
If you, this is in Gita Mahatmya. If you Google Gita Mahatmya stories, it's all, even in YouTube, we used to use that for the kids' classes. It's not right there in Bhagavad Gita in the 5th chapter, but it is the Gita Mahatmya is a collection of real life histories that happen to particular person in a particular place. That's why Lord Shiva is telling the name of a person, name of the town and village. And then we can see that the effect of reading Bhagavad Gita, just coming in touch with Bhagavad Gita, goes from one lifetime to another lifetime, from one species to another species. Like that, it's a collection of those histories. And this particular story is from the 5th, is the Gita Mahatmya, the glories of the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. I can send the link maybe.
You can send it, because there's a Prabhupada disciple. The person wants to know which is the chapter number, page number, and they want to look into that story.
Yeah, definitely, Mataji. I will try to send in. Let me.
Thank you.
Thank you. If anyone has any questions, I don't know if I'll be able to answer honestly. So whatever I can, I would, and then the rest can be answered by other devotees who are here.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for such a beautiful class. I really like the class, and that story of Brahma and Maruchi's sons, right? If I remember correctly.
Right.
I didn't know that why they have got cursed. I only know that they got cursed and they have to burn as, Devaki's sons, and Kamsa will kill them. But that I don't know what was the reason behind it. Thank you so much for telling that, Mataji. Today I learned that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for all your services and so much things we learned from you, Mataji. This is from the Krishna book. It is there in the chapter where the six return of the six sons of Devaki, I think. It's there in the chapter.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Such a beautiful class as always with beautiful pastimes, Mataji. I don't know where you get all this katha from, but you have like a whole stash of it somewhere. So beautiful the class was, Mataji, with all the examples and all the pastimes and anecdotes. Thank you so much for the class, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Actually, I should thank Indu Mataji. She sent some material and all the stories were in there. Actually, I didn't do any research or on my own. Yeah, this was compiled by, I think, some Prabhupada's disciple.
Thank you so much, Lalitangi Radha Mataji, for the beautiful explanation of the words. So we have Nitya Narasimha Prabhu. You have raised your hand.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. It was an amazing session, Mataji. A lot of take-home messages. Mataji, you gave one example that in Rupa Goswami's case, that one Krishna Dasa was offending unknowingly. Is it Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami or somebody else?
No, I don't think so. This is Krishna Das Prabhuji. But from where I read, it had mentioned that Krishna Das, the Brahmana Krishna Das, who was a devotee. Yeah. Because Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami is not mentioned to have the problem of limping due to being lame. But so I.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mother. Thank you for clarifying. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lalitangi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Very beautiful class, Mataji, especially Vaishnava Aparadh, very, very complicated section. And you gave perfect examples for each and every one of these different types of criticisms that we may have. So wonderful, Mataji, very nice class. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thanks to you, Mataji. I was not supposed to.
Sorry, go ahead. Mataji, I was just saying that I pray that someday we can also be, I can also be free from all these offenses. Very difficult, especially the one where you see a person and, automatically there is an impression in your mind. Okay, yeah, okay, the person is either American, Indian, whatever. So, yeah. So, pray, Mataji, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
I know, Mataji, it's very much needed for me because after so many years also, I don't do an inch of progress, or like I'm always coming down on snakes. There is no ladders at all in the snake and ladder story, always coming down in snakes. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Radhika Mataji, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Hari Bol, Lalitangi Mataji, all glories to you. Such a wonderful session, Mataji, very inspiring, and lots of take-home lessons, and very scholarly presentation, Mataji. Thank you so much for the amazing class. Hari Bol, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. I mean, I'm just repeating whatever I heard. And are you from, is this Bhavatarni Mataji from Oman?
Yes, Oman.
Oh,
Yeah.
my humble obeisances to you, Mataji.
Hari Bol, Mataji. My humble obeisances to you too, and all the Vaishnavas present here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hari.
Harita Mataji, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat pranams to all the Matajis on the call. Mataji, that was really very nice session, Mataji. You know, newcomers like me who come into Krishna consciousness, we need to know all this so that we will not be offensive in any way. So thanks for this session. A lot of things I came to know, like the pastime of brothers of Krishna. That part, like Mataji, why they were laughing at Brahma, Mataji?
Okay, it was said that Brahma created someone who was his daughter, and Brahma was affected by Cupid. So he was started to look at her as his wife.
Okay.
So yeah, and then it is said that Brahma immediately relinquished that body, and in that became twilight, and then he was given another body, and he started creation like that. So this is what is mentioned in Bhagavatam, and also it is mentioned that this is something that is very, very, very reluctantly the speaker is mentioning, so that we may not commit any offenses at all. But this story shows that for laughing at this apparent misbehavior, what all they have to suffer.
Yeah, yes, Mataji. But sometimes, like we are so affected by Maya, Mataji. We are so like lethal. So we get affected by small things. So we should keep on listening such sessions. Then only we will be, in that track, I feel.
Right. Very true, Mataji. That's very true. Otherwise, as the years go by, only the offenses will increase, and finally, we may miss to reach our goal.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot, Mataji. This is really helpful. Maybe we like this session. These sessions should be repeated so that we all should keep on listening, and we should not be offensive or criticizing anyone. Thank you, Mataji. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Nitya Narasimha Prabhu, do you have another question to ask?
Yes, Mataji. I don't want to be judgmental, as from this session also we see. But what Marich's sons have done, actually, from the like a common person perspective, actually they were right, because Brahma is the secondary creator, like he is next to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He should have not done. So, what lesson we can take, Mataji, from this?
So basically, in the Bhagavatam, there were other sons of Brahma who went and humbly approached him and told him that, asked him humbly that we cannot understand this behavior of yours. So that is the proper etiquette to ask, rather than that's what I understand, because so the sons, I don't know, the other Prajapatis and the others, they go, and it's that the shloka is there that they are praying to Brahma. So because Brahma is their father, so anything, the laughing is again, that means looking down upon, or just I'm trying to decipher that it may be because of the pride also. Like, if I laugh at someone else's mistake, that means I am so proud that I would never do that. It could come from that platform. Whether they did it like that, I don't know. But thinking from that is what would normally would make the thing us laugh, and that is something that Krishna smashes if there is a little bit pride also, Krishna smashes that completely. Even if it's in a devotee who's an advanced devotee also, it doesn't like that, because that's why dhambo, darpo, abhimanascha, krodha, parushamevacha. Of the six, the pride is mentioned as first, and it's very hard. It's like, weaved like a thread, length and breadth of a thread in our heart. So Bhagavatam says that how the other people handle this to Brahma. Maybe I can, I don't know exactly the chapter and the verse number, but I can share in the group and we can read that, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. I think you answered. But Mataji, like, if, for example, okay, I'm not in a position to tell, but if something wrong happens, my heart doesn't stop complaining. Is a complaining is a Vaishnava aparadh? Because if that incident is true and I am going to escalate it, will it become an offense, or I have to sit quiet? Okay, it is not my position, so how I can take that?
Yeah, so I've heard. I've heard from His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj's class. His answer to a similar question was, we ask them in a question form. Then that's not an offense, rather than trying to tell that, what you did is wrong. We can say that, I read like this and I'm not able to understand this behavior. Can you please explain to me why? So that's what that in then that the message is conveyed, and at the same time it's not offensive. And also, I mean, he says that you can discuss with other senior leaders, because we can't keep quiet, but we don't want to be offensive also. So this is what I've heard, Prabhuji.
Fine, Mataji. In that case, if senior is also not supporting, so we should leave it there itself.
It depends on the, I mean, that's what it depends on the situation and what is the fault there and how is it going to affect the movement and the preaching. So we need to see all that into account and then take a decision whether this person's behavior is going to affect Srila Prabhupada's movement in a big way. And by keeping quiet, whether am I closing my eyes to this injustice? So all these questions, if we see, then it can be addressed in such a way. If we don't have the adhikar to take it, then we bring it humbly to people who have the right and the responsibility to deal with it properly.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So are there any more questions, any comments? Okay. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you so much, Lalitangi Mataji, for your beautiful session, beautiful question and answers. Really grateful to you.
Really grateful to you, Mataji. I learn a lot from your sessions in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hi, Bo.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead.
I just want to say one thing, that Mr. Nair, Srila Prabhupada once said, we are all going back to Godhead except Mr. Nair.
Oh, thank you,
But
Prabhu. For
apparently his wife actually rectified everything. So Prabhupada is very merciful. So maybe Mr. Nair got to go back to Godhead after all.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. May I know who you are, Prabhuji? Please accept.
I'm a disciple of Srila Prabhupada.
I'm sorry, Prabhu. What's your name, Prabhu?
Das. I'm a disciple of Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept our humble obeisances, Prabhuji, and
it was
thank
a
you
very
so
good
much.
comments.
Can we see your lotus page, Prabhuji, if you don't mind?
Hold on. It's more like a locust face.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
So nice to see you, Prabhuji.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So where are you based out of? Toronto?
Yes, yes, Prabhu. I'm in Mississauga in Toronto, in the suburb of Toronto.
So you have a major Ratha Yatra every year. It's probably the
Yes,
biggest in North America.
Yes, Prabhuji. Unfortunately, we moved here only a year back, and since COVID, I mean, everything is shut down. Even till today, the temple is not open.
Really?
Yes, Prabhu.
Our temple in Washington, we were maybe closed for 2 weeks max. And we've been open every day since for darshan and kirtan, prasadam, everything. It's pretty much normal.
Oh, of course, here the temple is open for darshan, but there's no big gatherings or Sunday programs happening. I mean, only in March the government relaxed the regulations. Yeah, but still the social distancing is a must. And then Bhakti Marg Maharaj and other temple board feels that it's hard to keep social distancing happening in the temple once they open up. But yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully everything will get back to normal.
Yes, Prabhuji, please forgive any offenses that we have done. And you.
I actually enjoyed hearing it. I wasn't so familiar with the that story you had told about the eagle and the parrot and like that. But you know, I just read Srila Prabhupada's books, and if it's not in his book, then I don't really know the Leela. But I know there's a lot of Leelas in Mahabharata and the other books. So.
Yes, Prabhuji, please bless us to have one-pointed dedication to Srila Prabhupada's mission like all of your generation had. That's our prayer to you.
Well, you know, what we had was we all had the same mission, that we were to go out and spread Krishna consciousness. Almost the expression like work now, samadhi later. And that's how Krishna consciousness spread so fast. Rupanuga, one of Prabhupada's senior disciples, he got initiated in October of 1966. He was doing a television show, and the person on the television show thought that we had millions and millions of devotees. He said, everywhere we go, we see Hare Krishnas. And Rupanuga said at that time, maybe there were 2,000 devotees max. Yet people thought there were millions of us because we were in parks, we were in the concerts, we were in the airports, but we were everywhere. So I think that spirit needs to be revived. If we're going to spread Krishna consciousness, not just one community of people, but the entire world. And even I just read recently where Prabhupada said, if 1/100% of the population becomes Krishna conscious, the whole world will become Krishna conscious. So if we want to change the world, we have to go out on the streets and chant and have festivals and distribute prasadam and do the basics. And then we'll see change. Imagine if, since Prabhupada left the planet, if everything didn't change as far as like the number of devotees going out and the number of festivals and all that. If it changed, the world wouldn't be the way it is right now. It would be closer to the golden age of Lord Chaitanya. Although the golden age is happening, but maybe it would be happening quicker. But it's going to happen with or without you or me or any of us. It's going to happen. Anyway, it was a nice class. I'm glad I got to hear it. Thank you for your association.
Amazing, Prabhu. Thank you for your...
please give us your class, Prabhuji. In this group will be very...
No. All I know how to do is talk, but you quote Shastra. You're much more intelligent than I could ever dream of being.
Prabhu, that's an internet thing. If you just Google, it comes. But you have practiced your lifelong. So definitely, hearing from you.
But everyone has different qualifications and different strong points. And you know Shastra. You quote Prabhupada's verses wonderfully. You sang those shlokas beautifully. I mean, that when you first sang the shloka from Nectar of Instruction, that was so beautiful.
Yeah, that was sung by our singer Sukasagri Mataji, who is an expert.
She sings beautifully.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking at the video, I was just listening, so I didn't know who was singing it. But that was really, really, really touching to hear it sung like that.
Yes, yes,
You
Prabhuji.
know, we used to distribute that book on Sankirtan. You know, even though that book seems like it's more for devotees, but Prabhupada said, no, that's for everyone. So that book we used to distribute right on Sankirtan.
Oh,
Anything Prabhupada writes, it doesn't matter. It does. Prabhupada, I was just reading a quote today from Srila Prabhupada where he said, I open any book anywhere and just start reading, and it's all sweet like sugar candy. He said it's like a sugar doll. It's sweet no matter where. And there's another really, really, really good story. I know I won't take too much of your time longer, but Shruti Kirti was reading from Krishna book. You may have heard this pastime. And it was a story where Krishna, where Balaram was killing a demon. And Prabhupada was slapping his hands on his legs and laughing every time, you know, Balaram would do something. He was just laughing almost hysterically. So the next day it was time to read Krishna book. So Shruti Kirti is looking through the book, trying to find another pastime where Balaram or Krishna is killing a demon. And Prabhupada said, no, just open the book anywhere and read. It's all nectar. So all these books, there's nectar everywhere. Doesn't matter. You can open up any book, any place, anytime, anywhere, and you're going to get nectar. All right.
So wonderful.
I gotta go. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, and we hope to
night.
see you again, Prabhuji, in this forum. Sri Hari Radha Mataji, maybe you can give us Prabhuji's contact number, and our coordinators will contact you. And please, we are very happy to hear from you, Prabhu.
Of course, I can actually give the number right now if you like. It's 240.
Yes,
472
24
240 472 1843. That's his cell number, personal cell number. You can call it 24 hours. This person answers the phone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, if you want association, you should do the best association in the whole world. And Prabhupada's disciples are the best association on the three whole world. So why not? Why not speak to them?
That's
Right?
why. That's why we want to get them, and we want to hear from them. And it is so much moving, right? Yeah. When they speak, it's different. It's from their heart. It reaches to our heart. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we can end here. Thank you, all devotees.
Mataji, there is one raised hand. Jyoti Mataji has raised her hand.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Mataji. I was listening to you from YouTube. It was wonderful session, and I'm very much pleased, and I learned so much. This association has helped me so much because I'm alone at my home and I'm doing my practice. But you know, whenever I get a time and whenever I learn, it has moved me and helped me so much, and it has given me a lot of enthusiasm. So I really want to pay my humble obeisances. It's not humble because I don't know I'm humble or not, but it's really very much respectful that is coming from my heart that I wanted to give my obeisances. My question is, I went to temple when I was very new, and I met one Prabhuji. Actually, he came and he was giving me instructions. So I was listening to him, and then I didn't had any bad intention, but I wanted to go. So I interrupted him and I told him that I need to go. I don't want to interrupt you. I wanted to hear you, but I'll come later and please excuse me. So he moved abruptly. So now today I'm feeling that did I made any offense towards him, because I don't know he was senior or not. At that time I was new, so I just wanted to know, did I do any upgrade at that time, and if I did, because my intention was not so. So what should I do?
Yeah, Mataji, like this, you know, so many things, knowing, unknowingly, and when we are in the service and we are in a responsibility, or when we are in a hurry, we are with limitations. So it happens like this. So I mean, it depends on time, place, and circumstances. But what I would say as a safe way is that every day we can offer Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I mean, Vaishnavas are like desire trees. And please, we can say this shloka and ask forgiveness from all the Vaishnavas we have offended knowingly or unknowingly.
I do that.
Yeah, that's what I would do also, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji, thank you so much. Please give me blessings.
Please
Dandavat
give me
pranam to you.
blessings.
Dandavat pranam to everyone. All Vaishnavas
You're so
present.
lovely, Mataji. Loved your class. So lovely. I am so happy to see you.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mataji.
It
Please
has
bless
moved
me.
me so much. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna
Hare
to all
Krishna.
of
I'm
you.
playing a very, small part in Bhakti Sangha, but there are so many people who are working tirelessly to get this nectar to us. And I am also very much benefiting by the lectures and associations. So all glories to all the coordinators. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If the devotees don't have any more questions, Mataji, shall we end the call here?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant Vaishnav ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Instructions ki jai. Lalitangi Radha
Bhakti Sangha devotees ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.